Hi guys and welcome back. Now in the last lesson we set up the foundation of our Orbit application, and in this lesson we're going to create a set of Rails actions and views containing static HTML only. Well, only for the moment. Later on we're going to make that content dynamic. Rails actions are bundled together inside controllers, and controllers, which you might guess, are the C in MVC, Model View Controller. Controllers contains a set of actions related by a common purpose, and we'll have a look at what those purposes are now in a few moments. But first, let's orientate ourselves by taking a quick look at the Rails directory structure. So here I am here in Atom, and as you can see I have my Orbit project open on the left hand side. So let me just shrink up some of these folders. There we go. Shrink, shrink, shrink. So as you can see we have app, we have config, and we have DB. So this is our Orbit folder structure. If I click open on app, you can see here I have models, views, and controllers. For the next few lessons we'll be working in app controllers and app view directories. So in these two folders here, controllers and views, we're going to spend a bit of time there. But for now, let's create a new branch to start our work. So pop open your terminal or command line. Here I am here. And let me type in git status. So just let me see what's going on with my git branching. Okay, on branch master and I'm up to date. Perfect. So let me say git checkout -b for new branch. And what are we going to call this one? Let's call this, well, as I said at the beginning, we're going to create some HTML static pages only. So let's say HTML pages. There we go, HTML pages. Hit enter. Switch to a new branch, HTML pages. So to create our new pages, we first need to generate a controller. We do this with the same Rails generate script that we used previously to generate scaffolding. We need to give our controller a name, and this controller will be called HTML pages. And the reason we're giving it that nice obvious name is because obviously it handles our HTML pages. This controller will have actions for a home page, a help page, and an about page. We create these actions by adding them to our generate script, and let's have a look at how we write that script now. So we say Rails generate controller. Now when you're giving your controller a name in the generate script, you need to use camel case names. And what does that mean? Well, it means this. So let's see, we're going to call ours HTML pages. So capitalize the first letter, HTML, and I know HTML should be all capitalized, but because this is a controller name, we're going to deviate from that convention slightly. So camel case, HTML pages. So you can see the first letter of each word is capitalized, and that's known as camel case. So what we do is we have Rails generate controller, HTML page, that's the name of our controller. What are the actions we want to assign to this controller? Well, as we said, we have a home and a help. There we go, and they're lowercase. Now, for students who are paying attention, you'll notice that there is no about page. So I've intentionally left that out so that we can manually add it later and see the manual process rather than the generate process that we're using here. So let me hit enter on this. So Rails generate controller, HTML page, and actually I'd say HTML pages. There we go, home and help. Let me hit enter. Let that think about it for a moment and then I'll be back to you. Okay, so here we are back, and as we can see, our Rails generate controller script created a lot of new files. So app controllers, HTML pages controller, perfect, so it's created our controller. HTML pages home, so you can see here what it's done, it's created our home and our help pages. We'll look at these files a little bit later on, but for now, it's a good time to add our new HTML pages controller to Git. And we do that with the following. Git add, we're going to say -A, so add everything within our application folder. Okay, so that's done. And then we want to say git commit -m because we want to add a message. And what are we going to say? Added HTML pages controller. I think that's okay. There we go. Close our quotation marks and hit enter. Now we want to say git push. So as usual, git push -u origin. So slightly different than what we've done before. Origin and then the name of our branch. So what did we call this branch? Well, we called it HTML-pages. Okay, there we go. Let's hit enter on that. So what the final command just did was to push our HTML pages topic branch to GitHub. So perfect, we're all set there. From now on, when we push, we can just simply say git push. The commit and push procedure we have just done is how most software developers working in the real world would do it. So this procedure here is commonplace among software developers. Going forward, we'll make a git commit at the end of each lesson, unless of course I forget, in which case I'll make it at the beginning of the next lesson. Now, the generate controller we just created creates a file called HTML underscore pages underscore controller. So let's have a look and see if we can find that. So over here on the left hand side, controllers. There we go, look, HTML underscore pages underscore controller.orb for a Ruby file. And as you can see, it's created actions for our two pages, home and help. And just for your reference, file names with underscores, so file names with underscores linking words, as it does here, HTML underscore pages underscore controller, is known as snake case. So we saw camel case, where you make the first letter of each word uppercase, and there's an example of camel case here. HTML pages controller, that's known as camel case, but here it's known as snake case. So I think that'll do us for this lesson. In the next lesson, we'll be taking a look at the roots file, and we'll also be navigating to the actual pages we've just created. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next lesson.